So, Jason just dropped this off the other day while we were doing the unboxing for all the our DC 10th anniversary deck builder stuff. And he let me keep Injustice over just to show you guys what's actually in it. I was going to do an unboxing of every box, but he told me the only thing that came with the Kickstarter campaign that was exclusive was the Injustice the 10th anniversary edition box and the new Rivals, which is Reverse Flash and Flash. So, let's check out what's in the box. So one of the things that's really interesting is I went to Cryptozoic's webpage just to see what was in here. And the box art on the Cryptozoic retail edition looks a lot better. It's not foiled, it doesn't look foiled. But I personally like it a lot better, it has more color. From there, we have our manual, which is the comic book format that Cryptozoic likes to use, and I really appreciate it. We do have the plastic insert, which is going to be used as the divider for the giant box. And it came with 4 basic player boards. These are going to be in the retail edition. But for the Kickstarter exclusive, you get recessed boards. And this is a really neat feature. If you've ever played the Injustice video games, it has the same system where you charge up to do specials. You do have 2 health bars, though, which is kind of interesting. So the top part is considered a health bar, but a full bar. Doesn't knock you out. It just goes to the lower bar until you hit 0 here, then you're knocked out. But this is a mechanic because one of the characters we noticed has a effect that triggers, I believe it's Hawkgirl. When you lower a health bar, you get to draw a card. So every time you do an attack, you get a charge. And then you do your meter burn, which is triggered by effects or your characters. And it's actually really neat because it kind of follows the video game thing about charging up energy and doing supers. We do have the standard 10 card deck in here. But the 10th anniversary special has changed some of the art. So here we have the Defend, it has Wonder Woman, versus the regular one, which has Superman and Batman, which is much more fitting for Injustice. Let's see. Light Punch. We have Bane in the Batman. And then we have Batman and what looks like Joker. Heavy Punch, we got Wonder Woman versus Superman. And then for the 10th anniversary, we have Captain Marvel versus Superman. And I believe that's it, since there's only 3... Oh, Vulnerable. That terrible card. So we have Superman being vulnerable, and we have Hawkman being pounded in the ground. That's pretty much the Kickstarter exclusive stuff. Now, the really cool things are the super move cards. So every character gets one, and they're put off to the side under your character. Except for the Bat Who Laughs. I don't know why he's in here. He does not have a special ability. Here we have. And I am not sure if the retail edition everything is foiled, because this says Kickstarter Promo on the bottom. I believe the Kickstarter ones are the foiled ones. Basically, you have your characters like Raven here that you start with. And then you put an ability under her. And this super move, as long as you have the energy to do it, you trigger her effect. Which is kind of neat. It's a super move thing like video games do. So I thought that was really cool. Another thing that's really cool is the layout. So we now have arenas. And the buy row of 5 cards, if you buy the card from that row, you get the effect. Every time you beat basically the bad, you switch over to a new arena. And there's 12 of these arenas. Some really cool, some not so much. But they are actually they add a huge dynamic in the game and your deck building and buying. And a lot of locations are really neat. Some like do auto damage like this if you buy unavailable damage. Others like the Fountain Heal. And then we have reduces. Then they have your meter burn, which is spending that energy. So they have a lot of really cool effects, and they mix together really well. I'm going to set these all up and get an all-in pick that you guys can look at later. So here are 6 of the 12 locations. 2 of them are Kickstarter exclusives. So first up we have Insurgency. So if you have the second row effect, put an attack card from your discard pile on top of your deck. And then we have at the 5th slot, Reactor, Charger Meter. Then in the middle we have Themyscira, Cannon, Meter Burn 1, destroy a card in your discard pile. And then in slot 4, Barrel, Charger Meter. Then we have Wayne Manor. First slot, card, discard a card, draw a card. In the center at 3 we have Fountain, heal 2 health. And at 5 we have Garage, Meter Burn 1, put this card on top of your deck. We have Ferris Aircraft. In slot 4, Gas Canister, deal 1 avoidable damage to each foe. And then slot 5, Missile Launcher, destroy another card in the lineup. In the center we have the Batcave. First slot, Chamber, put an equipment from your discard pile on top of your deck. In slot 3 we have Computer, charge your meter. And slot 5, deal 2 unavoidable damage to target foe. Then we have Hall of Justice. Statue, slot 1, reduce this card's cost by 1. Slot 3 we have Fountain, heal 2. And then slot 5, Drone. Deal 3 unavoidable damage to a foe you've attacked this turn. That does mean that if they use a defense card, the attack did not go through and you can't use that ability. But again, it's really cool because as soon as you buy a card, you trigger these effects. So our last 6 locations, 2 of them are Kickstarter exclusives. We have the Fortress of Solitude in slot 2. Target foe gains a weakness. Slot 4, Phantom Zone. Put a superpower card from your discard pile on top of your deck. Next up is Metropolis. Minigun. Deal 2 unavoidable damage to each foe you attack this turn. In slot 2. Slot 4, Hover Car. Refill this card lineup slot as soon as you purchase a card. Gotham City. Slot 1, Bat Signal. Put a defense card from your discard pile on top of your deck. Slot 3, Helicopter. Deal 2 unavoidable damage to target foe. Slot 5, Water Tower. Deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe. And then we have the Watchtower down here. Slot 1, Javelin. Mana Burn or Meter Burn 1. Put this card on top of your deck. Slot 3, Computer. Charge your meter. And then our 2 promo locations. We have Arkham Asylum. Slot 2, Pig. Target a foe gains a weakness. Then slot 4, Chandelier. Look at the top card of your deck. You may discard it. And then we have Oa. Slot 2, Trading Ground. Meter Burn 1. Destroy a card in your discard pile. Slot 4, Central Power Battery. Draw an extra card at the end of this turn. We did the unboxing, but it was kind of corrupted, so I just said screw it. We do get KO tokens. They do have a reverse side, and this is if you want to play on the impossible mode. So it has a bunch of penalties that happen to you when you get them if you want to reel them in impossible mode. And I'll lay those all out later too. You also, when you knock out and KO your opponent, well, they get the knockout token. You score a victory point. I believe these are part of the Kickstarter exclusives because the cardboard tokens don't fit anywhere in that. But here's the pegs for the power turn meter and your health. This is location markers that you put under your market so you can actually tell which have buy effects that trigger. So that's a nice little reminder. And then we have our new mob of big bads. We have a weakness here. None of the weaknesses are different. They're all the same. They do the same effect. A Flying Kick. The standard buy card. So like I said earlier, these are our level 1 nemesis. We have the Green Lantern. The Injustice Green Lantern here is one of the nemesis. That is a Kickstarter exclusive and promo for Injustice. So, retail version, you're always going to fight Joker first. And Joker's actually pretty cool because I like drawing cards. But his effect of him going out is, you know, increase the damage you do to the foes by 1. I do like him. As far as the Green Lantern, he adds +3 power, and you can put a defense card from your discard pile on top of your deck. So, they're both 8s, which can be done fairly quick depending on how you're running the game stage. So here we have the level 2 nemesis. First up is Green Lantern from Earth 1. Gets 3 power, deals unavoidable damage to each of each foe equal to the cost of another hero you control in your discard pile. And when he first appears, attack each player draws a weakness card for each card they have that costs 4 or more. And it costs, these are basically almost all 10, but you have to be able to buy 10 to get rid of them. We have Injustice Lex Luthor, villain. You may put up to 3 equipment cards from your discard pile into your hand. If you choose not to, gain 3 power. First appearance, attack. Each player discards a random card. The player who discards the card with the highest cost gains a weakness. Also 10. We have Green Arrow. You may gain an equipment card from the lineup and put it into your hand. If you choose not to, get 2 power. First appearance, attack. Each player discards an equipment and takes damage equal to its cost. Each who cannot gains a weakness. And it costs 9 to defeat him. Injustice Ares, villain 3 power, and deal unavoidable damage to each foe equal to the cost of another villain you control or in your discard pile. First appearance, attack, deal damage to each player equal to their own but current health, rounded down. Half their current rounded health, rounded down. And he's 10 to defeat. Aquaman, Earth 1. Hero, 3 power, and you may put part of your deck in the discard pile. Or you may put your deck into your discard pile. First appearance, attack. Each player reveals a random card from their discard pile and destroys it unless they take damage equal to its cost, which is really brutal because I had Aquaman pop up twice and it was just weird. We have Injustice Shazam. You may gain a superpower from the lineup and put it into your hand. If you choose not to, gain 2 power. First appearance, attack. Each player discards a superpower. They take damage equal to its cost. Each who cannot gains a weakness. So we have our 4 exclusive level 2 nemesis. We have Injustice Lobo. So 3 power, you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. First appearance, attack. The players with the highest total VP value in the cards in their hand destroys a card that costs 1 or greater in their hand. Injustice Sinestro. You may put up to 2 villains from your discard pile into your hand. If you choose not to, gain 3 power. First appearance, attack. Each player destroys a defense card in their hand or discard pile. Each player who cannot gains a weakness. We have the Injustice Green Lantern Corps. You may put up to 2 heroes from the discard pile into your hand. If you choose not to, get plus 3 power. First appearance, attack. Each player discards all attack cards. And then we have Injustice Martian Manhunter. Draw 2 cards. Area attack. Each foe reveals the top card of their deck. Deal damage to each foe equal to the cost of the card they just revealed. First appearance, attack. Each player discards up the top 2 cards of his or her of their deck and takes damage equal to their combined cost. That is 9. So we have 12 level 3 nemesis. 4 of them are Kickstarter exclusives. So first up we have Superman from Earth 1. 3 power. And then put any number of different superpowers from your discard pile into your hand. First appearance, each player destroys an attack card in their hand and discard pile. For each card you fail to destroy, gain a weakness. It costs 12 to beat. We have Injustice Batman. Stack ongoing. Equipment cards gain ambush attack. Each player gains a weakness. At the end of each player's turn, deal damage to that player equal to the number of heroes in the lineup. We have Batman Earth 1. Hero, you may gain all immediate burn cards from the lineup and put them into your hand, and if you choose not to, gain 3 power. First appearance, attack. Each player destroys a meter burn card in their hand or discard pile. Each player who cannot gains 2 weaknesses. And then we have Wonder Woman Earth 1. 3 power. Defense. Discard a card from your hand and attack. Discard this card to avoid an attack. If you do, redirect any damage from that attack to target foe and draw 2 cards. First appearance, attack. Each player discards a villain and takes damage equal to its cost. Each who cannot gains 2 weakness cards. It's worded weirdly. Injustice Superman, villain. Stack ongoing. Superpower cards gain ambush attack. Each player gains a weakness. At the end of each turn, deal damage to the player equal to the number of villains in the lineup. And then we have Injustice Spectre. Draw 2 cards, deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe for each attack card in their hand and discard pile. First appearance. Attack. Deal 1 damage to each player for each attack card in their hand and discard pile. Injustice Doomsday. 4 power. Area attack. Each foe gains 2 weakness cards. First appearance. Attack. Each player destroys a card with a cost of 5 or greater from their hand or discard pile. Injustice Black Adam. You need to put any number of attack cards with different types from your discard pile into your hand. If you choose not to, plus 3 power. First appearance, attack. Each player discards a hero and takes damage equal to its cost. Each who cannot gains 2 weakness cards. And there are promo characters. Injustice Flash. Draw 2 cards. Meter Burn. Pay 3. Draw 2 cards. So you can get 4 cards, basically. Unavoidable. First appearance. Attack. Each player gains 3 weakness cards. You may meter burn X to reduce the number of weakness cards you gain by X. Injustice Trigon. You may put up to 3 cards, each cost 6 or less, from your discard pile into your hand. If you choose not to, gain 3 power. Each player destroys 2 cards. First appearance. Attack. Each player destroys 2 cards in their hand and deals damage equal to their combined cost to a foe to their left. Injustice Darkside. 3 power. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, destroy any number of them, and return the rest in any order. Charge your meter a number of times equal to the combined cost of the cards you destroyed. First appearance. Attack. Each player discards 2 random cards and takes damage equal to their combined cost. Now we have Injustice Hawkman as last. Plus 3 power. Area attack. Deal 6 damage to each foe. First appearance. Attack. Each player puts the attack card with cost 4 or greater from their hand and discard pile into the lineup. Each who cannot gains 2 weakness cards. So everything fits nicely together in this box, but because Jason got the giant DC box, he's going to put these all in later. And I have to say, I actually really like the change-up of this variant of Injustice, or this variant of the DC deck building game. So here we have the retail characters. And up first is Joker, Earth 1, supervillain. The first time you destroy a card each turn, charge your meter. Once during your turn, if you deal 5 or more total damage to any foe this turn, look at the top card of your deck, destroy it or draw it. His super move is Let's Be Serious. Each time you destroy a card this turn, deal 2 unavoidable damage to each foe. Gain plus 2 power and destroy a card in your hand, and it costs 6. We have Injustice Wonder Woman. Each time you play an attack card with cost 4 or greater, charge your meter. And then she has a meter burn of 2. Increase the damage you dealt to foes this turn by 1. Her super move is Justice Javelin. Get 2 power, deal 4 unavoidable damage to each foe, and it costs 5, which is actually fairly cheap. Then we have Injustice Superman. The first time you play a superpower each turn, charge your meter and get plus 1 power. Reduce the first damage you dealt to you by foes each turn by 1. And then we have Kryptonian Crush as a super move. Plus 2 power, deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe for each superpower you control and in your discard pile for 5. It's very strong. We have Injustice Hawkgirl. You may put attack cards that you gain on top of your deck. The first time you empty a foe's health bar, each turn, draw a card. And then she has the power of Nith as her super move. Gain 3 power. Deal 3 unavoidable damage to each foe. Then deal 2 unavoidable damage to each foe with 11 or more health. And then, of course, it costs 6. It's actually a really good ability. But you want to trigger it when you get them down to where you can get them to the second bar. So that way you can draw the card. Injustice Yellow Lantern. Each time you gain a hero, charge your meter. Each time you play a hero, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. And of course, the super move is going to be Beware My Power. Gain 2 power. Deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe for each hero you control and in your discard pile, and that costs 5. Next up, we have Injustice Green Arrow. Now, I play Green Arrow. I believe he plays like the original Green Arrow pretty much, because I remember he was about equipment too, but I also remember the original Batman was that way. But the first time you play an equipment each turn, charge your meter, reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's equipment, draw it. Otherwise, discard or return it. And then we have his special ability, Arsenal Assault, super move. 2 power, deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe for each equipment you control and in your discard pile, and it costs 5. One thing to note, none of these super moves are considered attacks, so you will not gain a charge back from actually doing them. Injustice Batman. The first time you discard or play a defensive card each turn, charge your meter. Meter Burn 2. Put the top card of cost 4 or less from your discard pile on top of your deck. And his ability is the Dark Knight. Plus 2 power. Deal 1 unavoidable damage for each foe for each defensive card you control in your discard pile, and it costs 5. Then we have Injustice Harley Quinn. Once per turn, if you play 3 or more cards with different types this turn, draw a card and attack. Deal 2 damage to target foe. And then her ability, Mallet Bomb. Play the top card of the main deck, then destroy it. Deal 1 avoidable damage to each foe for each different card type among cards, including this one that you've played this turn. That costs 5. We have Injustice Flash. Gotta go fast, apparently. When you are attacked the first time each turn, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Each time you draw 1 or more cards during your turn, charge your meter. And then we have his super move, the Speed Zone. Each time you draw a card this turn, deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe. The effect is plus 1 power and draw a card, and it costs 6. So here we have all the Kickstarter exclusive characters that are, and some are just promos, which I thought was kind of interesting. Because, like I said, the backer, the 10th anniversary backer stuff, that's a promo, or that's a Kickstarter exclusive, but the Bat Who Laughs is a promo. So is Sinestro, which seems kind of weird. So here's laid out. We have, starting with Sinestro. Every time you play a villain, put a card that costs 0 from your discard pile into your hand. Discard 2 cards to charge your meter. And then his super move, he gets plus 2 power. Deal 1 avoidable damage for each foe and each villain you control and in your discard pile. And it costs 5 turn meter. Then we have Raven, Injustice Raven. Each time you gain a superpower, charge your meter. Once per turn, if you play 2 or more different superpowers this turn, play a hero or villain from the lineup, then destroy them. And her special ability, Deadly Sin, I played with her, it's really wonky. Reveal the top card of each player's deck. Play one of the following cards and then return it. Deal 2 unavoidable damage to each foe and an additional 1 damage for each card you played this turn that you didn't own. So her ability is not a lot in a 2-player game. I mean, all of these are consistent, but being at a cost of 5 seems kind of high too because it's risky. There are a lot of cards though that let you play things in the row and things out of the deck, so it could, but it just depends on what you get random with a flop. Injustice Catwoman, each time you gain a card from the lineup, charge your meter. And then the first time you successfully attack a foe for each turn, look at the top card of the main deck and return it or add it to the lineup. So she's really nice just because of that acceleration. And then her super move is 9 lives. It is one of the more expensive ones, costing 7. You can't have more than 8 turn meter energy, and you can't spend it as a reaction when you gain it. So hers is you save up for big time, but it is a powerful ability when I was reading it. Each time you gain a card from a lineup this turn, replace it, and you may avoid ambush effects. These deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe, gain a card with a cost of 5 or less from the lineup. So that's a really cool ability. It's also really good because it stops the terrible clash cards because they're all ambushes. Then we have Injustice Killer Frost. Each time you play a villain, heal 1, pay 2 health. Target foe cannot avoid next attack this turn, which is really handy. Endless Whiteout is her super move. Get 2 power and heal 2. Deal 1 avoidable damage to each foe for each damage you healed this turn. So there are healing cards, but I just don't see it being super consistent. Then we have Injustice Nightwing. Once per turn, if you control 2 or more different non-starter cards with the same type, charge a turn meter and you get plus 1 power. Super move. Play up to 2 different cards that cost 4 or less from your discard pile. Deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe for each card that costs 2, 3, or 4. And it costs 6. This triggered a lot and it's pretty reliable. I actually was surprised how efficient it was. Lex Luthor. Each time you gain equipment, charge your meter, and you may put it on top of your deck. And then he has a meter burn ability. Pay 1, destroy a card in the lineup, and then refill the lineup. And this super move, you gain 2 power. It is coordinates received, super power, or super move, plus 2 power, and destroy any number of cards in the lineup. Refill the lineup. Deal 1 unavoidable damage to each foe for each different cost among cards in the lineup. I see this card being super effective just because of how the lineup numbers are. Rarely do you get the same, but I mean, it's all RNG with the shuffling. We have Injustice Shazam, or Superhero Shazam. Once per turn, charge your turn meter once for each different non-starter card type among cards you played this turn. And then super move, the power of Shazam, discard any number of different cards, then draw that many cards. Deal 1 unavoidable damage for each foe for each different card type amongst the cards and in your discard pile. And that costs 5, and that's pretty easy to trigger, especially in mid-game. The Bat Who Laughs is really weird. He says you may gain weakness cards from the destroyed pile. At the start of your turn, you may gain a weakness. If you do, play the top card of the main deck and then destroy it. Seems really strong, but it seems like you're penalizing yourself a lot. There are a lot of ways to get rid of weakness too, but it's a risk-reward system, I see. And then we have the Kickstarter backer, which is you. Superhero. Each time you buy a card from the lineup, reveal the top card of the main deck. If it has a cost greater than the card you bought, add it to the lineup and get +1 power. So, weird is this all came as the Kickstarter exclusive stuff, but again, the Batman Who Laughs and the Kickstarter backer did not get a super move. I'm not going to go through all the cards. Seems kind of pointless, just showing off some of the different stuff. But we did play the game, and I really like this variant. And a lot of the games were pretty close, but Injustice kind of goes like that, as I recall. Oh, and then there's these Clash cards. We did not play on Impossible difficulty, but these are really interesting when they trigger. They are bad. But they're all different, and if you play on Impossible mode, you shuffle them in the main market deck and you play them. And when they pop up, you have to trigger their effect immediately. So, gets a little crazy at times. But having these 200 cards, it's actually pretty well balanced. Some of the abilities are a little wonky, some of the characters are better than others. Well, everything goes by deck building mechanic, but Raven was really weird to play, and we got some gameplay footage of that. Green Arrow was really straightforward. Nightwing was straightforward. Hawkgirl I thought was pretty good, but Jason didn't like her as much. But I thought she was pretty good with her abilities. That is everything that comes with Injustice and the Kickstarter exclusives. Not much, or not missing a lot. The packaging and a few of the cards. I mean, obviously it's cool to get the Bat Who Laughs, but he doesn't have a superpower. Now, I believe that the Joker superpower could be used with him because it kind of fits the same mechanic. But we haven't tried that yet. So here are our Kickstarter exclusives and one promo card for the main deck. First up is Beast Boy. He is a hero. He doesn't have a level though. Draw a card. You may put your deck into your discard pile, then discard any number of cards. For each card discarded this way, put a different card with the same type, and it costs 6 or less, from your discard pile into your hand. First appearance, attack. Discard 2 cards with a cost of 1 or greater. Then we have Captain Atom. +1 power, meter burn. Destroy X different cards in your hand and our discard pile. +1 power for each card with a cost 1 or greater destroyed this way. We have Huntress, hero, +2 power. After you attack, you may reveal this card from your hand. If you do, deal 3 unavoidable damage to target foe. Batwoman, hero, +2 power, and an additional +1 power for each defense card in your discard pile. And then for our villains, we have Victor Zsasz, +2 power. If you successfully attack a foe this turn, you may destroy a card in your hand. Next up is Injustice Calibok. Villain, +3 power, area attack. Deal 3 damage to each foe. Justice Bizarro, +2 power, area attack. Deal 1 damage to each foe, plus an additional 1 damage for each weakness card you reveal from your hand and our discard pile. Here are our 5 Kickstarter exclusive superpowers. Up first is Flash Freeze. Draw a card. After you avoid an attack, you may reveal this card from your hand. If you do, heal 3 damage. Or heal 3. We have Dark Transmission, superpower. +1 power. Play a card that costs X or less from your lineup. Return it at the end of turn. X equals the total amount of damage you've dealt this turn. A foe this turn. Bolt of Zeus, +3 power. Charge your meter 3 times. We have Atlas Torpedo, super power, +1 power. If this is the first card you played this turn, discard your hand and draw 4 cards. Charge your meter once for each card with a cost 1 or greater discarded this way. And we have Frostbite, superpower. You may destroy a card in your discard pile. If you do, charge your meter X times and heal X. X is the destroyed card's cost. Draw a card. So here we have our 5 Kickstarter exclusive equipment cards. Up first is Cat Claws. Equipment, +2 power, area attack. Each foe that avoid an attack this turn discards a card. Eskrima Sticks. Equipment, +1 power. Draw a card that costs 3 or less from your discard pile into your hand. Energy Shield, equipment, ongoing. Discard this card from play to avoid an attack. If you do, you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. Power Armor, +2 power. Meter burn 2. You may pay 1 less to buy cards from the lineup this turn. And last but not least is Wingding. Charge your meter and draw a card. Defense, discard this card to avoid attack. If you do, charge your meter and put a card that costs 3 or less from your discard pile into your hand. So overall, my first impressions of the DC Deck Building Injustice Edition, especially the 10th Anniversary Kickstarter Edition, I like it. I like deck builders in general, but I really do like the new mechanics and how they introduced it to be more like the video game. I know the comic series, I've read parts of the comic series, but I've played Injustice 1 and 2, and I thought they were actually pretty fun games. One thing I have to say is, I wish they stuck to the retail box art, but foiled it instead. I mean, Superman here looking intimidating is kind of cool, but it is what it is, that minimalistic look. It does look a lot more darker and grittier. The actual Injustice retail artwork looks a lot more brighter, and it looks, I believe it's actually this. I gotta go look at Cryptozoic's webpage just to make sure. But I like the double bar system. I don't remember if that was the thing, but the turn meter bar with the superpowers, I really like that ability. I just like a lot of the stuff put together. It gives it that video gaming vibe, and honestly, when we first played Injustice, or not Injustice, DC Deck Builder like 5 years ago, we didn't separate everything. Everything was just one giant box because we got in a trade, and it was, I think, 1,000 cards, and we did some super broken combos with it. I don't remember KO tokens or anything like that, so I guess we're going to have to go back and play that to actually do a fair comparison. But so far, I really like the game. Me and Jason had a lot of fun with it. It is swingy, like most deck builders. There's always a chance of luck of what you buy and what your opponent gets and who has what cards. But that's just the nature of how they work. The mechanics that they've added to the game, like I said, I like the locations. Adding that gives it a video gamey feel because there was environmental triggers in Injustice. The meter power for using super abilities, I really love that. That's really thematic, and actually it helps accelerate the game a lot. Most deck builders, like, this game could take a long time when we played with everything together and we had billions of broken combos. And I've been learning, especially with deck builders, when you buy expansions, deck builders aren't really designed to have a huge expansion. The bigger the card pool, the more mechanics they introduce, the more everything just conflicts and makes a mess. You can do it. I've done it with Clank. I do it with Clank all the time, and it leads to some crazy chaos. That's one of the reasons why I said, I like Clank Catacombs now, because it's a new deck. What I'm really saying is, if the deck is too big, the game gets too bloated and everything is unreliable. It's one of my issues with Doom Imperium and the House of Ix. So, if you like deck building games and you like DC Universe, especially the DC Deck Builder or Cryptozoic games in general, because they're all compatible, I highly encourage you to pick up Injustice. I gotta rate this like a B. Thematically, it fits perfectly. I have to double check on some of the characters because I don't remember them being part of the Injustice League, but my memory's a little shaky at times. I think it's a really cool game. It's a really cool concept. I just don't know about the packaging. Like I said, I like it more colorful and more comic book looking. This just looks like a video game cover, but I guess that's what they were going for. And I don't think you're missing too much without getting the Kickstarter edition. I'm not even sure if Cryptozoic's going to sell this Kickstarter edition on their webpage. I think they had an ad for it for pre-order, but I'm not sure. I got to double check all that. But that's overall our first impressions of Injustice, the DC deck building game. If you like what I do, please consider subscribing to the channel. It greatly helps me out, and I actually like making content, and I actually want feedback. So if you noticed anything that I've said or explained that wasn't quite clear, please drop me in the comments and let me know. Other than that, guys, GG's.